Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day. I want to come and break down Job 1 and Job 2. We're just going to get straight into it and get an understanding and lessons that we can get out of Job 1 and 2, chapters 1 and 2. Alright. There once was a man named Job who lived in the land of Uz. He was blameless, a man of complete integrity. He feared God and stayed away from evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 teams of oxen, and 500 female donkeys. He also had many servants. He was in fact the richest person in the entire area. Just from that one section alone, we already know that Job is very blessed. Job's sons would take turns preparing feasts in their homes, and they would also invite their 3 sisters to celebrate with them. When these celebrations ended, sometimes after several days, Job would purify his children. He would get up early in the morning and offer burnt offerings for each of them. For Job said to himself, "Perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." This was Job's regular practice. So 1, Job was blessed. And 2, he does things on behalf of his children. It said that right here, perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God. So he did burnt offerings for that time. That's when you're like, hey God, I'm putting this on the offering for my sin, for my children, or for any sins that they might have done. Or like, hey, I want to be forgiven for these sins. So he's not only blessed, but he acts on behalf of his children, and the things that they have done, hoping to make sure that they are forgiven, not even knowing whether or not they did these sins. Next, if you go to 6, it says, one day the members of the heavenly court came to present themselves before the Lord, and the accuser Satan came with them. What have you come from? Where have you come from? The Lord asked Satan. Satan answered the Lord, I have been patrolling the earth, watching everything that's going on. Then the Lord asked Satan, have you noticed my servant Job? He is the finest man in all the earth. He is blameless, a man of complete integrity. He fears God and stays away from evil. Satan replied to the Lord, yes, but Job has good reasons to fear God. You have always put a wall of protection around him and his home and his properties. You have made him prosper in everything he does. Look how rich he is. But reach out and take away everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face. So Satan knows that God has put a protection around Job, that Job is blessed, that he is highly favored, that he is protected by God in everything that God has given him. Keep reading. Says, all right, you may test him. The Lord said to Satan, do whatever you want with him. Do whatever you want with everything he possesses. Don't harm his physicality though, but don't harm him physically. So Satan left the Lord's presence. One day when Job's sons and daughters were feasting at the oldest brother's house, a messenger arrived at Job's home with the news. Your oxen were plowing with the donkeys feeding beside them, but the sevens raided us. They stole all the animals and killed all the farmhands. I am the only one who escaped to tell you. While he was speaking, another messenger arrived with this news. The fire of God has fallen from the heaven and burned up your sheep and all the shepherds. I am the only one who escaped. So you keep going, each and everything that he has, down to his children, his sons and daughters. There's a person, a messenger, a first one, a second one, a third one, a fourth one, coming to tell him, hey, as I was there, this thing happened, but I was the only one who escaped. So all the things that we read in the previously, where he said he had like all these sheep, the donkeys, servants, children, all those things are being taken away from him. And not only that, but while those things are being taken away from him, in the middle of one person telling him, another person's coming over, interrupting that person, talking over them. So you would know that's an example of being overwhelmed. So not only is he losing all these things, but he's also being overwhelmed. So we have to take into mind that when we're being tested and stuff like that, when the enemy's trying to test us or do things like, hey, I want to do this just to show you, he can also use being overwhelmed as a tactic. So he's doing more than one thing at once. He's taking away things while also overwhelming Job. But it says, if we go down to verse 20, Job stood up and tore his robe in grief. Then he shaved his head and fell to the ground to worship. So Job didn't curse God or anything. He didn't say anything like that, but he worshiped God instead. So during all the bad times, including losing his children, he chose and decided to worship God. If we go to verse 2, chapter 2 of Job, it says, Job's second test. One day the members of the heavenly court came again to present themselves before the Lord, and the accuser, Satan. So keep in mind, Satan's an accuser. It literally says accuser Satan. So he can be accusing you of things from your past that God's already forgiven you about. He can be accusing you of things that, like literally anything. It says, and the accuser Satan came with them. Where have you come from? The Lord asked Satan. Satan answered the Lord, I have been patrolling the earth, watching everything that's going on. The Lord asked Satan, have you noticed my servant Job? He is the finest man in all the earth. He is blameless, a man of complete integrity. He fears God and stays away from evil, and he has maintained his integrity, even though you urged me to harm him without cause. Satan replied to the Lord, skin for skin. A man will give up everything he has to save his life, but reach out and take away his breath, and he will surely curse you to your face. All right, do with him as you please, the Lord said to Satan, but spare his life. So both times, God said that he physically couldn't harm Job, and that he had to spare his life. So there are parameters around what Satan can do. He still has to ask God permission to do certain things. Let's keep reading. So Satan left the Lord's presence, and he struck Job with terrible boils from head to foot. Job scraped his skin with a piece of broken pottery as he sat among the ashes. His wife said to him, are you still trying to maintain your integrity? Curse God and die. So I looked up the Hebrew definition of integrity, and integrity actually means innocence. So you've heard the scripture where it says, in the Bible where it says, come to God as children. Or in other words, like come to him with the innocence that children have. So Job's wife just asked him, why are you trying to hang on to your innocence? Curse God and die. Who you marry is very important, because during your hard times, which Job is going through, there can be people who either help you or destroy you. Let's keep reading. 10, verse 10. But Job replied, you talk like a foolish woman. Should we accept only good things from the hand of God and never anything bad? So in all this, Job said nothing wrong. Job says he's going to worship God during the good times, when he had all these things, all the oxen, the sheep, the servants, all these celebrations. He praised God during those times. And when he lost all of those things, when he lost his children, his servants, his cattle, he still praised God. When 3 of Job's friends heard of the tragedy he had suffered, they got together and traveled from their homes to comfort and console him. Their names were, Eliphaz the Temite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamite. When they saw Job from a distance, they scarcely recognized him. So he was not bad. Wailing loudly, they tore their robes and threw dust into the air over their heads, showing their grief. They sat on the ground with him for 7 days and nights. No one said a word to Job, for they saw that his suffering was too great for words. This passage alone shows again that who you have around you matters. They said his friend. It says right here that none of his friends said a word to him before they noticed that his grief was too big, and they traveled to him. So not only did his friends come and travel to him, they noticed the grief that he was going through, and they just sat with him for 7 days and 7 nights. Who you have around you also matters. So we learned from this that who you have around you matters. Friends, families, husbands, and wives. 2, that there are parameters around what Satan can do to you, especially during the time that you might be getting tested. 3, that I think that's all I have right now. If I see more, I'll put it down like the description or in the comments. But that's a breakdown of Job 1 and Job 2. I will probably do another breakdown of some scripture, maybe Job again. That's all I have for you guys today. All right, bye.